I know this is an area that a lot of photographers are intimidated in. They don't really know where to start when it comes to upselling albums. If you were to break down your process on upselling albums, what would that look like?
But my album sales process goes a little something like this.
Cool, we're rolling. But yeah, Courtland, excited to talk with you on WLMA Weddings and Wine, man. And I'm excited about this because honestly, out of all the students I've kind of kept in touch with, I've been working with you the longest, because even before the WLMA really became like a community, you know, we have almost like 1,000 students now. I think about a little over 800. You started working with us when literally I was maybe working with like 10 students. It was like one-on-one kind of a thing. And it's been really cool to see your journey on where you've taken things, even starting the business from scratch again in a whole new city. You know, you've hit 5-figure months. You know, you've gotten a ton of awards for how amazing your work is as well. So people get a little bit of a background about you, you know, and tell me a little bit about your story. How do you get into the wedding business where you are today? I'll dive into all that good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it has been quite the journey. And, you know, what is this? Almost been 3+ years or more.
Yeah.
Whenever we started talking to each other. But yeah, I'm originally from Denver, born and raised there, and joined the Army at 18. I was in for about 5 years. I was lucky enough to be stationed in Germany as an infantryman in the Big Red 1, the 1st Infantry Division. And I did 2 tours to Iraq during my time with them. And throughout my whole military career, I had a little Sony point and shoot, like 12 megapixel. I think it was called Cybershot or something. I forget the exact model. But I just took pictures all the time. Just loved documenting life and experiencing this whole new world that I was diving into, you know, at 18, going overseas and living in Europe and then doing all that crazy stuff. I just liked storytelling and didn't know really what the hell I was doing photography-wise, but I was just snapping away, man. And so when I got out, that never really left me. I went to college, used the GI Bill. I knew I wanted to do that, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I enrolled in journalism as my major because I love to travel and write and tell stories. And then on one of the electives, it was a photojournalism emphasis kind of subgroup of the journalism major, and I saw a documentary called War Photographer. It's about a war photographer named James Nachtwey. He's been shooting war since the 70s. And if you just Google James Nachtwey, Nachtwey, you'll see a lot of his work, and some of it is guaranteed, like you've seen it before. But anyway,
yeah.
It just really hit me hard because I kind of missed the shit a little bit, the chaos of combat during my Iraq tours. And wanted to experience just some crazy stuff again. It sounds sick now, saying it, but you know, it was just a much simpler time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I want to be a war photographer. I want to go back, but just under different circumstances. So that was the plan. And just picking up random gigs, honing my photography skills and learning just new stuff around it. I was shooting for the school newspapers and just doing some contracting gigs. Well, I happened to stumble upon this ad. Actually, my roommate at the time stumbled upon an ad for a wedding photographer, and I was a 4th shooter at this big wedding as like a trial run, and I loved it. It was like, whoa, I could do photojournalism on people's best day of their lives, not their worst. No one's going to be blowing my legs off. I'm a much happier person. Everyone's dressed to the nines, having fun, smiles all around, and I could still travel and document life. So that really stuck with me, and I shot my first wedding, I believe, in 2014, and been doing it ever since.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I guess kind of like, did you feel as well, you know, well, shooting weddings is a different type of chaos, but you got kind of a little bit of that, without the army type of chaos and everything.
For sure. And I mean, most photographers are terrified of shooting weddings. They just don't want anything to do with it. It's too crazy. The chaos, the pressure that it only happens once, you have to get it right. I thrive in that chaos. After some close calls downrange, I don't get really flustered by stressful situations as much as most wedding photographers do, I think. And I think that is one of my strengths, because as crazy it can be on the wedding day, it's like it doesn't even shake a stick at what I experienced. So it's just like, okay, no worry. I'm very supportive to my couples, and if they're feeling, I'm like, hey, pull them to the side. Don't worry, this is your celebration. Everything's gonna be cool. I got your back. Let's live in the moment. So that's one of my strong suits. I think I attribute my military past to that. So yeah, if you would have told me I was going to be a wedding photographer when I was in the Army, I probably would have slapped you. But it's like shoot weddings, out of here.
It's crazy. That's awesome. That's awesome. And it was kind of my path a little bit as well, because I had no clue I wanted to do weddings. I was in Bolivia and Peru, like as a missionary, and it kind of I thought I wanted to get into photojournalism as well, and then I ended up just falling into weddings and falling in love with that also, and just kind of just going full throttle into that. Yeah. Now I guess kind of you dove into this a little bit as well, but in the military as well, I'm sure you learn a lot about grit, discipline. A lot of that builds into your character in order to be able to handle a lot of that. How would you say those characteristics, impacted maybe how you handled your business, how you handled the wedding day, any of those types of things?
You're right. It definitely takes, discipline and drive and motivation to thrive in the military, but you almost don't have a choice. Like, you just do it. It's the easiest job in the world. You just do what you're told. And, they don't pay you to think. They just pay you to do. And a lot of that transfers over when you get out. And it's kind of overwhelming, because when you get out, you're kind of like thrown off and you're like, okay, figure it out. And you've just been so used to everything being spoon-fed to you, right? So the transition back into civilian life can be challenging for a lot of veterans. And, especially starting a new business, like, you are responsible for your failures. You are responsible for your successes. You can't put blame on anyone else but you. Extreme ownership, right? Jocko Willink talks about a lot about extreme ownership, and he's my boy, Jocko. All right,
I love Jocko.
But yeah, and he's a big inspiration. Like, the amount of stuff he does on a day-to-day basis. I saw a fraction of the combat he experienced, and if he can do it and thrive, then I can. And so I keep that in mind, and you just got to take it one day at a time and strive to be 1% better each day, and don't, baby steps to success. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And everyone's on their own journey, and it's hard to compare yourself to other people, not compare yourself to other people. Comparison's the thief of joy, they say. But it's true. It's like, there's always going to be someone better than you, and you're always going to be better than someone else. And what you don't see is everyone's personal, unique journey along the way. You know that. And so that helps me.
That's the first time I actually heard that from one of my friends in the military, where it's like, it takes a lot of grit and discipline, but you kind of have no choice. You have to have it when you're in the military. And I see that a lot, especially with some of my friends who are in the military as well. It's like they really thrive when it comes to, like having orders and just like doing it. Did you feel like that transition, was there a struggle for you in that transition when you went from, the military to trying to grow your business and kind of making that switch where it's like, you don't have to, but like choosing to and everything,
For sure, because without a roadmap, it's hard to know where you're going, and that's what joining the WLMA kind of gives you a roadmap a set of objectives to complete. Because without a sense of community or education, you're just kind of throwing noodles on the wall and seeing what sticks, and then maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't, and just having no strategy or plan or objective to complete. So the contributing factors to a successful business is constant education, at least for me, and a sense of community, and that's what WLMA has presented, a good sense of community, and you guys push for like accountability buddies. Just to keep each other in check and help each other grow. Because without the community or just doing everything solo and stuff, it can be very disheartening and distracting, and you're not going to go as far as you could. You're not going to reach your fullest potential.
I hear you.
I'm still learning that,
Yeah, 100%. Now getting a feel of this so people can kind of get a feel of like the strategies that you have felt been the most helpful in getting your business where it is today. What would you say are some of the key business strategies that brought your business where it is today?
I kind of touched base on it before, but constant education for me, whether it be courses online, Facebook groups, accountable buddies, and books. I read a lot of books, and I hated reading growing up. In college. I'd like to stop because I just wasn't motivated. But now I have a reason to read and learn and get these strategies and tactics set in place, and then you get to test it and record it and seeing what it's kind of like this puzzle or a game, it's fun like that. So yeah, I'd say also adding a personal touch, because there are so many photographers out there. And the differentiating factor between all of them is you. Like, there's no other Jordan Correces. There's no other Courtland Wilson. There's no other Aiden Meadows or Tom Russo. Your personality is your brand in a way. And so finding out ways to be personable and unique, especially in the service industry, can help differentiate yourself among the crowd, the masses and stuff. And photography, it's even more hard because we're surrounded by photos all the time.
Yeah.
In our society, videos and everything. Everyone with a phone is a photographer, right? So doing stuff with off-camera flash helps separate me from the masses too. That's really helped, especially in my market. I came from Denver, and I moved to Sacramento, California just before COVID hit. And moving to SAC, I realized there's not a lot of photographers that do like a kind of a bold and vibrant off-camera flash technique and stuff. So that really helped separate me from the masses. I try and just do stuff that you can't do on an iPhone. At least iPhones can't trigger flash right now. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years they can. But just kind of, that helps separate me, and also being more personable when it comes to just client relationships with clients and vendors. Just adding value whenever you can without having them ask for it.
Yeah, love that as well, and love that you brought that up. And I'm going to put, for those watching, especially if it's on YouTube, I'm going to put your website in the description. You guys need to check out Courtland's work. His off-camera flash work is freaking amazing. And I guess who were some of your inspirations when it came to off-camera flash? Who did you learn from, etc.?
Yeah, there's a few of them out there, especially in Colorado area. So the first photographer I was inspired was Jared Gant. And then I found Jesse and Moira LaPlante, or JLP, I think. Jesse and Moira LaPlante, I took their workshop, and it's all about kind of off-camera flash and more of the technical side of photography. That really helped boost it up. And then just looking online on Instagram, Two-Man Studios, crushed
Two-Man Studios, they're amazing.
One of the best husband and wife photography teams in the world. The way they use light and see the world is insane. They're very inspiring. Megan Allen with Studio 22. She's in Ohio. Chad Winstead, they're in North Carolina. They actually shot my reception.
That's awesome.
Jason Vinson, he's at Arkansas. He shot our ceremony. So, I mean, we went all out for our wedding. We got married last year, and, you know, we ain't going to skimp out on photography. So, yeah, they crushed it. And, yeah, now there's just always constant inspiration out there floating around the masses, but it's hard not to, like, be inspired by them and then also compare yourself. It's good to compare a little bit so you can, like, grow and be like, oh, okay, I have a goal. But to, like, get downers, like, why aren't I doing this? And he's getting all the likes and I'm not. It's just like, that's petty stuff. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And how did you see off-camera flash impact the type of clientele that you get? Because I know there's a lot of photographers. I was one of them as well, where, you know, I avoided off-camera flash and that type of work because it was really freaking hard to, like, dive into and master. You know what I mean? So when you did really start getting a hang of, like, off-camera flash and mastering that skill and really getting that to the next level, how did that impact the type of clientele that you started getting?
Well, like you said, it is challenging and intimidating when you first start out. And I would suggest to start shooting objects in your house, maybe your dog or your spouse, helping them, and then start practicing those skills while you're second shooting with someone. Yeah. Where the pressure is way less, you know. And then once you get a hang of it, you're like, oh, okay. You start seeing the world a little differently. And you can tiptoe and do it on your actual weddings that you're a primary shooter. And then just using different light modifications and stuff like that. But once I started getting the hang of it, I noticed that most of the clients, when I asked, you know, hey, what about my work inspired you to reach out to me? They say, your stuff just doesn't look like anyone else's that we've seen. At least in Northern California where I'm at, it's a lot of bright and airy, blown out golds and greens and stuff, you know, and that's cool. You know, I'm not everyone's photographer and I don't need to be everyone's photographer, but my clients want something different and true to color and just something creative and be like, huh, I never thought looking at that blank wall in this, you know, alley, you know, with a dumpster near it, that you can make it into something crazy. And that's the power of off-camera flash. Like, you can transform the mundane into the insane.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when it comes to one thing I want to mention as well is I remember when you did the presentation at our our WLMA mastermind 2 years ago. Yeah. Everyone freaking loved it. And, like, I just remember everyone, like, really taking a deeper dive into off-camera flash after that. And everyone was super inspired. Who would be, if someone wanted to learn and get much better at that, you know, who or where would you recommend photographers to find people or courses and stuff to learn that type of skill?
There's a lot out there. But when I started entering the world of off-camera flash, MagMod, which is magnet modifiers. MagMod, the brand, has a bunch of different modifiers you can put on a flash, and they have their own YouTube channel. And part of their channel has a segment called How I Shot It. And what they do is they interview other photographers, and they break down, like, 5 wedding photos, and then they talk about how they did it per each photo, what they were seeing, what they were doing, what their settings were, and stuff like that. They're like 30 minutes to an hour long, and I would watch them all. And just be like, oh, okay, cool. And then just scrolling on Instagram, Jason Vinson does a lot of cool stuff. You know, he's in Arkansas, and he's not as blessed as we are in California, have really epic, beautiful venues and stuff. So he has to get really creative. And he does. He knocks it out of the park. His epic shots are just that. They're epic. And so if you're looking to up your game, definitely look at Jason Vinson up. Two Man has some education out there. Just looking at their work, it's just like, whoa, how do I do that? And then honestly, even when you're watching Netflix on a show and they're doing, like, interesting flashlight. I don't know if you watch Peaky Blinders, but I love the way that is shot, like the way they use highlight and shadow and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay. symmetry and stuff. You get a lot of inspiration from different shows as well.
Yeah. I found out about Two Man. I used to be in Fearless Photographers. Got awarded there for some of my candid work before.
Awesome.
And I remember they were like the top 1 or 2 on Fearless Photographers. And that's where I really started kind of seeing the power of how they do that. And I love how they work. They work really close to their clients as well, like with those 35s or even wider, giving it that really intimate feel. That's awesome.
Yeah, closer is better.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I know lately, especially you've been making a lot of money through upsells when it comes to albums, upselling your albums, and when it comes to in-person sales in those scenarios as well. You recently just upsold, 3,000 more to a package just by upselling albums.
Yeah.
I know this is an area that a lot of photographers are intimidated in. They don't really know where to start when it comes to upselling albums. If you were to break down your process on upselling albums, what would that look like?
Yeah, it is definitely a process, and IPS, or in-person sales, is very intimidating for a lot of people, myself included, when you got started. Once you understand sales and read multiple books on scarcity and influence and stuff like that, and you put it to practice, and you can see the magic. But my album sales process goes a little something like this. First of all, I constantly talk about albums right from the get-go, from the first consultation, and then even, like, let's say they book me. I have a few emails throughout the whole process before their wedding day that talk about the power of print and albums. Even on my social media, every now and again, I need to do more social media posts about albums. But if you don't do this, then asking for like album upsale almost feels like a curveball to them.
I made that mistake a long time ago before. Yeah.
It says, and then it gets really awkward, and then you're like, I don't know. And you guess yourself. So you have to make it part of your brand, right? Maybe every wedding collection includes an album. It's non-negotiable. They deserve their photos to live on something other than an iPhone. And I make sure, like, to word it, this is your family's first heirloom. It's priceless. They're meant to last 100 years. You take care of them, all that stuff. So after the wedding, I actually, for my local clients, I have started doing these in-person gallery reveals. So in the past, I would just shoot them a link on an email and say, okay, have fun, bye, nice shooting your wedding. Now I make it more of an experience, especially when you're tying or you're targeting luxury clienteles, and you're entering the luxury market. Wedding photography is a luxury. It's not a need, it's a want. And so to target these luxury clients, they're used to being blown away and having an experience. And so sending a link with their gallery won't cut it. So what I've done is rented out a miniature theater. It can hold 8 people. It's got plush leather couches, nice coffee table, and 100+ inch 4K projector screen. Soundproof, really. I can control the lighting, and everything's in my control. I don't have a home studio. I don't want clients to come to my home because we don't have a spot for this type of experience. But luckily, I found a spot downtown that has this awesome theater.
That's awesome.
Rent out, and it's about a 2 to 3 hour session, and we make an experience. I have their favorite drinks ready. I have their favorite snacks ready, and I know these from previous questionnaires that I send whenever they book. I have like a discovery know you questionnaire, a bunch of personal questions. I know their favorite sports teams. I know their favorite food, etc. So they come in, they got their favorite cocktail or wine out ready, their favorite snacks or candy, and then right from the get-go, they haven't seen any of their wedding photos besides a few sneak peeks right after the wedding. So we go straight into a slideshow, music of key photos. They're oohing and on and blowing their socks off, getting brought back to that awesome day. They're tearing up. We're having a good time. Then I show them their gallery, how it works. I bring in my computer and it's projected, so I show them how it works, how they can order prints, how they can share it to friends and family, and they can order prints or downloads. And then I skim through the entire gallery pretty briefly, like within 5 minutes. Then I go to the album design. So before this meeting even happened, I pre-designed their wedding album already to include more than enough pages than that they'll order. And I tell them that from the beginning. Actually, I skipped a process. Before we see their album design, I actually have a real client album or like a sample album that they can physically touch, feel, experience. They know how thick the pages are, what their album could be like. Then we go into the album design. And I tell them, hey, I over-designed this. We will be cutting out pages, but this is what it could be. If you wanted to tell this is the way I think your story is beautifully told, but keep in mind we are going to be removing some photos and changing the order and stuff like that. So we go through the entire album page by page, whether it's like we change up the design or move photos to the other side or get rid of some things. We go through the whole album, and once it's done, we go through it one more time just really quickly until it's exactly the way they want it. It's the album of their dreams. Then we go over the cover options like leather, linen, what do you want it engraved with, how big do you want it, what color, etc. And then that's the end of the meeting. I send them an invoice, and I offer monthly payments or one lump sum. It's up to them because it is a big decision. It's a big purchasing. These are luxury items, and they're priced accordingly. So, but all that lead up, those constant touch points of print needs to take place before you even do this. If you try it without it, it won't work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I have a very similar process as well. And one of the most important that you mentioned also is like, because I remember when I was first trying to figure out album sales, I pretty much wouldn't like talk much about them in the beginning as well. When I had my first bad experience through that, I'm like, okay, that can't happen.
No, I don't want that to happen.
Exactly, because they feel like they're almost being scammed if it's not in the beginning of the process. And so when I learned that, what I pretty much started doing, exactly what you're doing, is it's part of the brand. You're always showing those albums on your social media, all that type of stuff. And then like my very first meeting after they book, pretty much one whole meeting talking about how the album process works. And so that way it's like, okay, they have a clear view of what's going to even happen like after the wedding. But that's awesome. And how much are you often able to upsell through bringing couples through that process and everything?
Well, I'm still pretty new to the renting out the theater, but every time so far,
I love that.
Every time.
Yeah.
And I also incentivize upgrades if they buy wall art. In addition to, like, if you buy a wall art collection, like I have a 3-piece, 4-piece, or 5-piece. Really simple.
Yeah.
Don't want to overwhelm them with too many options.
With too many options,
But if you buy any wall art collection, you get X amount of pages for free in your album. So it's like, oh, okay. And then, so that, you buy more, you save more kind of thing.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's super
cool. And parent
cool.
albums, too. I give a discount for parent albums. It's like, hey, if your parents, you think your mom and dad would enjoy this as a thank you to help, for their support through this whole process. It's a great Christmas or Mother's Day gift idea, birthday, etc. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's always a good upsell technique too.
Love that. One thing I'd often do that doesn't always work for everyone unless it's within their budget is sometimes I would offer the incentive like a discount, a little bit of a discount if they, because I usually would, let's say their package only would do like 15 spreads or something like that. And I edit it as a 30 spread. Often give them an incentive if they keep it as the 30 spread how it is.
Right.
So once in a while that happen, not all the time. Usually it's if this is a couple where it is within budget. But have you find those kind of incentives often work, whether if it's maybe getting that parent album, all that type of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to show value and why it matters.
Love
And
that.
especially parents. I mean, they're the generation of prints all the time. They didn't grow up with pictures on their phone, so they're definitely going to want prints. And the quality of albums are just going to blow them away. Like, yeah.
Where do you print your albums as well?
So I've gone through like 4 of them. First, I started with Graphy Studio, which is really nice, and I only chose that because Jerry Guionis used Graphy Studio. I'm like, well, Jerry does it, And if you don't know who Jerry Guionis is, you probably aren't a wedding photographer. But they're made in Italy, and the turnaround time is there, and I was very new to the process, and it just wasn't in my just the cards weren't right for me at the time. So then I went to Miller's, which are a more cheaper option, still decent quality, but more approachable in my financial situation, we'll say.
Yeah.
And then once I got the hang of the sales process and album process and stuff, I'm like, okay, I need to up the ante a little bit. And I went to Kiss Books. But I have since now gone to Blacksmith. And I went to Blacksmith because of a few reasons. They only take on a certain amount of wedding photographers. They're a smaller company than Kiss and Miller's.
Yeah.
So it's more personal experience, and I can get up to 100-page album. Whereas Miller's cap it off at
crazy.
50 pages. Kiss caps it off at 80 pages.
Okay.
And I had a 100-page album that I know I could have sold, but I had to get rid of 20. And one of my clients got the 80-page, like maxed it out. So I'm like, man, I'm leaving money on the table, So
exactly.
So that's it. But they only accept a limited number of photographers just because they're a smaller company, and in the future they'll accept more. But I'm one of the lucky ones. After some referrals of current Blacksmith photographers, I had to name drop a few people. Okay, and how many weddings do you shoot a year? Okay, and then how many albums do you produce per wedding? Okay, so they do some homework and filter out their applicants.
Yeah. What was your usual charge per extra spread, and how did you usually like to design the albums? Did you like just using, say, like Illustrator or something, or did you like using something that's kind of like Fundy Designer, etc.?
Fundy. I've been using Fundy.
I love Fundy.
For years, yeah, and they're just awesome. It's easy.
Yeah, it's so fast.
Intuitive. It's fast. It looks great on the back end. I'll literally share my screen with the client, and it looks nice, and I can. Has a bunch of features and it blows them away.
Yeah, I love the notes feature especially. Makes it so easy.
I don't know. I have never used the notes feature.
Yeah, we're kind of like where you send them the album, the album design, and then pretty much they can say, "Oh, I want this one. I want to change it with this one, etc."
Yeah. I use the Proof Designer, right? I use that through my CRM. Sprout Studio.
I see.
Yeah. They have
Awesome.
Built in. And yeah. I forget what. Pricing for pages.
Yeah,
and stuff.
for pricing per spreads.
I was doing 25 a page. Now it's 50 a page.
Awesome.
Since the recession, I just was like, okay. Like one of your emails you sent, like. Talked about recession, and spoiler alert, rich people are still rich during a recession. And the middle class and the lower class, they get hit the hardest during it. And who am I trying to target? The upper class. Luxury clientele. And
so it just made sense.
So it's like, okay, well, if I'm providing a luxury experience, they're not even going to bat an eye at 50 pages.
Exactly.
$50 a page. And I know some photographers that do 150 a page, and they still crush it. Like $7,000 albums,
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
hey.
Any couple, even during recession, any couple that's willing to drop like $7,000 for like an album after their wedding, they're not really thinking about cutting corners during a recession. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
100%.
And
100%.
we're in the middle class. We gotta make adjustments and adapt to try and stay afloat.
100%.
And it's scary, but
Yeah.
it's possible.
Love that. And that was such great value, especially when it came to albums. Loved hearing your process and all that as well. Now, I know you actually had to do this because you moved from, Denver to California. And this is a question I love asking people on the show. So for photographers who are starting in a place where they're struggling, they can kind of get into your mind on what you would do. So let's say you moved again and you had to start a business from scratch, no fan base at all. What would that process look like for you?
So you're talking about just becoming a wedding photographer or already kind of established and then transitioning to a city?
Yeah, let's say you're already established.
Okay.
Like how you're established in Denver.
Right.
Yeah, you have some work and all that already.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'd be happy to help. I can talk to you about my experience, what I did, and then what I wish I would have done.
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
I knew I was moving to Sacramento probably 10 months before I did. And when I did, I just did some market research of the style. I went to Wedding Wire, typed in Sacramento wedding photographers, and then I noticed that my style is not very popular. I'm like, okay, that's a win. Cool, I'll be okay. And then I kind of let it, fester a little bit, and say, okay, well, when I move, then I'll be more proactive. What I should have done, and what I recommend people do now, is before you even move, reach out to the vendors that are already serving your clients.
Yeah.
So you should by now already know who your ideal client is. And based on that, you know who's serving them and which brands they like. Do your market research, find out photographers in that area, planners, videographers, etc., and figure out who are they serving. And then reach out to them. Whether it be on Instagram, just a little DM, you can actually, if you want more attention, go to their website. You can even email them directly and say, hey, because they may get dozens of DMs a week, and you're just going to be mixed in with the masses. But they will check their emails, or they will pick up their phone. So you can give them a call and be like, hey, I'm Courtland from Denver. I'm going to be moving to Sacramento soon. I saw your style. I really love it. I think we help the same type of people. I'd love to just grab a cup of coffee whenever I move there. Is that cool? Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Do that to 5, 10, 15 vendors. Same thing with venues. Figure out which venues do you think your ideal client would choose. Set up, get on the phone with the venue coordinator or event manager, introduce yourself, and set up, put it on the books, on the calendar for a venue tour. So when you move, you hit the ground running. You go to these specific venues that you already did your homework on, and you do a venue tour. And what I like to do on venue tours, I walk the grounds with the event, I take notes, and then after she's done, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be taking some photos and video, and I'll let you know when I'm heading out and all that. And I actually take my phone and do a walkthrough and talk about what I just learned, make a little video on iMovie on my phone.
I love seeing those on your story as well.
And then, boom, post it, tag them, they're happy, and then people landing on your page are happy. They're like, oh, I was going to look at that venue, but it's, 50 miles out of my way. I just watched Courtland's video. That's cool. I now know that that doesn't fit my needs, or, ooh, that really fits my needs. I want to see that in person.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, I saw Courtland's video. That just reinforces the relationship with the vendors. Once the relationship with the vendors is established, they like, know, and trust you, then they can start pitching work your way. Also, I wish I would have been more active in the local photographers' Facebook communities. You
Yeah.
know, there's like Northern California wedding photographers, Bay Area wedding photographers, Sacramento wedding professionals, whatever. Reach out, do your homework, see who's serving your clients, not just everyone. It's not a shotgun approach. It's very
Yeah.
specific targeting, like surgical, as the SEALs would say. So, so that would be definitely a good place to start. And then also Facebook ads, run those right when you get there. Do as many engagement sessions as you can, edit them, knock their socks off, blog it, SEO, organic search engine optimization, and I wish I did that more than I did already.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And such great value as well. And if you guys aren't following Courtland, I'm going to make sure we add his Instagram into the description as well. And every once in a while, I get to see, though, he does his venue tours, like in his story. And the first thing when I first started seeing those, I was like, oh, that's such a great idea on networking with those vendors as well. Not even just value for your potential clients, but like getting to build those relationships with the vendors, which is awesome.
Google, when you look up these venues, go to the ones that have like 4 or 5 reviews, not hundreds of reviews. These are the brand new ones that need more.
That need more networking in there.
Spotlight towards them, and they're more eager to work with wedding photographers.
That's awesome. I was talking to Hunter Cottrell, I think it was episode 2 or something that we did. And that's pretty much what he found, where he found a venue. It was like maybe 2 hours from where he is, but it was a new venue. And it pretty much became a gold mine.
Oh, yeah.
Because they needed photographers to refer, and they're an up-and-coming venue. They started thriving. And it's like investing in stocks where they're thriving, you're thriving as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
If you're one of the first vendors, they need a vendor list. And they want to be seen as the expert too. So whenever new couples tour their venue and go, hey, have you had a photographer yet? Do you have X, Y, and Z yet? Here's some recommendations. Boom. Hunter's the go-to guy. He's now, filled up probably 5 weddings or more just at that one venue, just because
100%.
He took that 2-hour drive and took the initiative and be proactive to get that relationship. The power of vendor relationships is huge. Don't be afraid. Like, I don't care if you've been in the industry for 10 years. Don't be afraid to be a second shooter. You need to fill up your calendar too. Not everyone can shoot all the weddings. It's like a web of, you talk to one photographer, then you meet 2 others, you meet 6 others, you meet 10 others. And before you know it, I mean, you're going to be already on the list of a lot of people's minds. If your personality is great, your work stands out, and you're a team player. So, I mean, literally just today I booked a client because I second shot with my buddy PJ, and they were friends of, it was a Chinese tea ceremony reception celebration that I shot with them probably 2 months ago. And then we had our own table during the dinner of about like 10 people. It was me and PJ and then 8 other people. And one of them was recently engaged, and I was the second shooter. They reached out to me last week saying, hey, it was really nice meeting you. We were at the dinner celebration. We remember seeing you and PJ work well. PJ is unavailable for a date, so he recommended that we reach out to you. Boom. That was 7 days ago. Literally just booked him today.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say to the photographers who are listening and they're struggling? What is one piece of advice you would give to the photographers or filmmakers who are struggling in their business and really looking to grow?
Education, for sure. And it's about quality over quantity, just like with anything. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger and spend some money on good educators and books. I mean, I know you may hate reading and stuff, but if you change your mindset of this is an investment in my business and in my mind, the stuff you learn from all their years of experience. I mean, one book can have 30 years of experience from 300 different people.
Exactly.
Depends on what it's about. That knowledge is so invaluable. Like, spend $30, get the book, test these different things, and then adapt, make it your own way, brand it to your specific brand, and trial and error. I mean, that's the cool thing about this industry. People will always be getting married, and there's always some new stuff to be learned. And it's really cool. I really value the photography community because not everyone can shoot every wedding. So we're not like hiding secrets and stuff, being all sneaky. No, we help each other grow, and the whole industry grows. And in order to keep up, you just got to constantly adapt and educate yourself. So definitely find some Facebook groups, be active in it, read some books. I have a few books that I can recommend right here.
Yeah, what would you say your top 3?
Damn, top 3, man. Well, I guess you know this one.
Yes, I love that book.
Okay, so this really isn't business, Martin, but it keeps me sane. It's called The Daily Stoic. And Stoicism has really helped me with my PTSD, anxiety, and depression from the military and stuff. And it just, one of the first things I do every morning is read a passage or two in this book, and it really sets the mood for the whole day. Now, as far as photography goes, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Ooh.
Is really good. And maybe you can link these in the show notes.
Is that by the person who also, I could be wrong, did he also write story selling?
No.
Okay.
Selling with a story?
Yes.
No, but I know what you're talking about. I read that one as well.
Nice.
Atomic Habits.
That's a great one.
That's a great one. You and I both, we like that. Man, here's one for money. It's called Profit First.
Ooh, my friend recommended me that one. I haven't finished. I haven't gotten to get into it yet.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet. I'm one of those people with ADD that reads 5 books at a time, which I probably shouldn't.
Dude, I'll literally read 3 books at the same time. It's like I get bored of this one, boom, boom, boom.
Give me some stoicism, give me some nonfiction, give me some business, and then this one is really good, which I don't think you know. Sales EQ.
I bought that after you recommended it to me.
Good,
I have it, so I need to get into that too.
Yeah, apparently he has a whole series that I'm.
That's cool.
At, but this one is really cool. EQ stands for emotional intelligence, and so there's IQ, there's TQ, and there's EQ.
That's really cool.
And people buy from their emotions, not their logic.
Yeah.
So it's a really dives into that, and then also another good book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's written in the 30s, but it's still relevant today.
Timeless to this thing.
Yeah, especially now in this digital society we live in. I don't know about you, but if you go to a store or a restaurant and there's like some young kids working, we're talking 20, 25 and younger or something, they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to speak. They don't know. It's very socially awkward and just like there's no drive and stuff. And you're instantly like have a bad taste in your mouth. So if you know how to make people know, like, and trust you in an authentic and genuine way, not like a skeezy salesman way, because you just got to go all in it. And once it's like authentic and real, people will recognize it. A very fine-tuned BS meter, and if you're not in it, they'll see right through it. But that's just helped me just to smile more and be more positive, because it's hard, man.
No, 100%. That book actually really helped me a lot, especially when it comes like to like sales in the wedding industry, because I used to be a very awkward person. and the things that I would do. I still am, but I've learned a lot. And so, but the thing, I was able to learn a lot from that book. I'm like, all right, this is the right way. The people will see me as this way if I act this way.
Yeah.
Or this is the appropriate thing to do. You know what I mean?
There's literally
and that was huge, just learning
smiling.
those. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Love that. And where can we find you as well, Courtland?
Yeah, Instagram's Courtland. If you just type in Courtland Photography, you'll find me. CourtlandPhotography.com, on Facebook, Courtland Photography, all that jazz. It's a weird name, so I should come up. Well, I forgot.
Yeah, I'll add it in the description.
This is wine and weddings, man. I'm a big cork dork, so cheers.
Cheers, my man.
Yeah.
This was fun. Are you gonna be in Chattanooga, possibly in the spring?
I'm still looking at my schedule. It may conflict with an annual ice fishing trip I go on every year. It sounds ridiculous, I know. But we have this ice fishing trip with my buddies, some of my Army buddies as well. It's called Bros on Ice, and we just
Dude, that sounds super fun.
Pick
though.
a different lake in the mountains, usually in Colorado, for like 3-4 days, and just escape and catch up once a year.
Dude, that's so cool.
And we're gonna do it in Minnesota this year.
Nice.
And on our this is like our 5-year or 6-year anniversary. On our 10-year, we're hoping to do Canada or Alaska. We'll see.
Dude, oh man, that sounds amazing. If you do come by, let me know. We'll go shooting again.
For sure. Yeah.
Got a cool crew.
Yeah, I bet. I love seeing your shooting videos. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, dude. This was super valuable. Hope we should get it up and probably this week and everything. But I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, let me share with the world my newest addition to my family. Sorry, I wouldn't. My wife would be wondering why. Oh, she's kicking right now. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. So we just picked up this little heartbreaker. This is Juniper.
She's so cute.
She is a Bernese Mountain Dog Poodle mix, 9 weeks old. And she is quite obnoxious sometimes. But
dude, it's the puppy phase is so hard, you know, but it's like the best, man. And then when it's over, you're just like, oh man, I'll deal with that again.
Yep. And then
Crystal and I were thinking of eventually we want to get maybe like a golden retriever. Again.
This is my 11-year-old Shih Tzu Ewok. But golden retrievers are awesome. You should get one.
Yeah. I love how you're just like holding him from the you just
still has baby scruff or puppy scruff. I mean, it never went away. But we also have a golden chow mix. She's 14, so I really can't like hold her up to the thing. But
yeah,
Goldens are awesome, dude. You should get one because you have a German Shepherd, right? Or Belgian?
Let me see if I can grab him. Kobo, come here, boy. He's like snapping. I'm gonna try to pick him up halfway, but yeah, half German Shepherd, half Malinois.
Awesome.
I used to. He might be too tired to come,
Yeah, no worries.
but we used to have a golden retriever back when I was in high school and everything, and now I just have a bunch of golden retriever puppy videos on my Instagram reels. And those I'm looking at, so I'm like, oh man, next dog, we're gonna go retriever.
Yes, dude. I love Instagram puppy pages. Are so funny. It's if you need to pick me up, just like do hashtag pups of Instagram or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff, dude.
Dude, appreciate it, man.
Well, tell Crystal I say hi. Oh, and always fun chatting with you, dude. And thanks for continuing this this journey that we're all on and inspiring close to 1,000 students. It's really cool.
Yeah, man, it's been insane.
It's really cool. So, good deal.
Absolutely. Glad you've been able to be part of the journey. Been really cool seeing your story, seeing the growth in your business, even moving to new places. Been really inspiring.
Cool. Thank you.